I want to tell you about a soldier, a decorated lieutenant colonel who gave 29 years of his life to the United States Army. Ken joined before the don't ask, don't tell years, when it was literally illegal to be gay. But he wanted to serve, so he kept his mouth shut and buried his true self under a thick blanket of protective lies. Living with a lie was difficult, but things were about to get worse. In 2007, as he was preparing to deploy to Iraq, he was told he had tested positive for HIV. Both doctors and commanders told Ken to keep his HIV status quiet. Around this time, a mutual friend and U.S. Marine Corps officer asked Ken to mentor a young U.S. Army lieutenant who was nervous about his first combat deployment. They only met in person twice. One of those times was in December of 2008, when the young lieutenant was alone for the holidays, and he asked if he could come to D.C. to spend it with Ken and his family. He and his family all agreed the lieutenant could join. 3 months later, Ken was notified that he was under investigation. An anonymous complaint had been filed against him. The issue was eventually dismissed, or so he thought. 2 years later, in 2011, Ken was formally charged with exposing the young lieutenant to HIV.
The commanding general of the Military District of Washington charges Lieutenant Colonel Ken Pinkela with abusive sexual contact, aggravated assault with a means likely to produce death or grievous bodily harm, and reckless endangerment.
He barely knew his accuser. How could he expose him to HIV? The prosecutor's case was baffling. Ken was not charged with an infection because prosecutors would have to prove intent, and they couldn't do that. And the young lieutenant admitted that he and Ken never had sex. He claimed that Ken exposed him to HIV through kissing and shared toiletries, a virtual scientific impossibility. Ken begged the Army to analyze his own blood to show that it wasn't the source. They refused. In a military court, you are guilty until proven innocent. In 2012, on Ken's 45th birthday, the judge handed down his verdict.
The United States Army finds Ken Pinkela guilty of 2 charges of willful disobedience, 1 charge of abusive sexual contact, 1 charge of aggravated assault, 1 charge of conduct unbecoming an officer, and 1 charge of reckless endangerment. Ken Pinkela is sentenced to confinement for 1 year and recommended for dismissal from military service, consequently forfeiting all related benefits.
Ken served 272 days in Fort Leavenworth Military Prison, lost his retirement, his house, his reputation, his whole identity. Erased. Ironically, the man who spent his life fighting for our freedom lost his. Ken's no longer a soldier, but he still fights every single day. The battle's more personal now. He fights to end HIV criminalization, a policy that has become more deadly than the virus. He fights to restore his honor and make sure that this never happens to anyone else. Hopefully, we can all stand up for him. Hopefully, you can stand up for me. I am Ken Pinkela, and this is my HIV true story.